Hello, everybody. I'm TychoCelchuuu. Welcome to a company who's two shoutcast between who run Barter Town, playing as the Soviets, and Civilly Disobedient, playing as the Oberkommando West. And this, as in the previous shoutcast, assuming that gets uploaded to the internet, is being live streamed live over twitch.tv. So check it out. Twitch.television/TychoCelchuuu. And I have at least 2 viewers. I think I actually had viewers during the last one too, but chat wasn't updating because long story. So we have conscripts at no crazy build orders here, but we do have a Kubelwagen out first from the OKW, which is not a crazy build order. I've been seeing a lot of Kubels first, but has the potential to become a crazy build order. So everybody watching this on YouTube, say hello to JB Fom, who is watching, and the other viewer who I can't tell because I can't easily bring up the viewer list without alt-tabbing, and also say hello to me, your host, TychoCelchuuu, because I think I count as a viewer as far as Twitch is concerned. So that's cool, and I think this map looks kind of new to me. It's very dry, in my humble opinion. Ooh, 2 Kubelwagens, so it is going to be a Kubel party. And do we want to check out any of these things? Anything cool as defensive tactics? That seems vaguely newish. Tank traps. Everything is 2 CPs on this thing. Wow, it's a community created one. That makes sense. Fucking community loves 2 CP things. They're just, you guys fucking nut when you see something that costs 2 CPs. So this is a pretty boring map layout wise, but that's probably good gameplay wise. As you can tell, it's basically mirrored down the center and across the middle. Fuels on the left and right, munitions on the middle left, middle right, VPs. Split more or less diagonally. Nothing surprising here. So this Kubel looks like maybe it was going to go for a flank. I don't know. It's trying to push him out of cut. I don't know what that Kubelwagen is doing. Why is that? I guess it's going point blank to try and get some shit. This is surprising. So, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. Point blank is really nice on a Kubel. You do a lot of damage. And it's not like you're really going to risk dying because that conscript squad was low enough that they had to leave. And you did want to protect the Sturm Pioneers who are kind of in pretty deep, and you don't want to have to retreat them. So it makes sense to go surprisingly balls to the wall with that Kubelwagen, but still it's always neat to see that. And they didn't go for the flank, which was kind of interesting. The Kubelwagen, of course, is very hard to flank with because first you have to drive to the flank, then you have to slowly rotate until you're into position. Look how much damage this thing's taking, by the way, just from combat engineers. This is the thing about the Kubelwagen. You can just shoot it with any goddamn thing and it'll eventually die. Almost got that squad. Is it gonna chase? That'd be a risky chase. These Volksgrenadiers have been retasked, but no. It's gonna chase. That was a belated chase, so if you're gonna chase, you better fucking chase fast and chase hard. Oh man, I might be eating my words. I'm not gonna eat my words. Might lose a Kubelwagen for that. And this is just all falling apart for the poor German player. This thing has got to start backing up ASAP. And good. Is Rocky ASAP a musician? I wanted to make some sort of pun, but it's too late and we have a cutoff going. This Kubelwagen also hurt. Notice the conscripts have now started firing at it. I believe they were probably told just to right click and fire. That probably wasn't of their own volition. Actually, it might have been of their own volition. Units and Company Heroes, in the original Company Heroes, they would just, and Company Heroes too, I think it still works the same way. They just fire at whatever thing has like the highest threat rating, unless you give them a specific attack command. And in the original Company Heroes, and maybe in Company Heroes too, I'm pretty sure, Kubelwagens are just notorious for having threat ratings off the fucking charts, which means if you don't give somebody a specific attack command, they're for sure going to shoot a fucking Kubel if they got the option to shoot a fucking Kubel. So that can be used for some really helpful things. If your opponent's like moving, then by default they can't choose who to attack, because once you issue a move command, they forget about who they were attacking and they just pick their own target. Oh god, that was strange. Things just paused for a second. Had a fucking heart attack. Oh, like Carrie Fisher. Carrie Fisher had a heart attack, but hopefully she'll be okay. She's pretty awesome. But yeah, so if someone issues a move command, that means they're not going to be able to tell them who to attack, which means by default they'll be wailing on the Kubel. Obviously, these guys didn't have a move command, so chances are they were firing at the Kubel because they were told to, or maybe of their own volition. I don't know. In any case, is a good choice because they weren't going to really do much first the Volksgrenadiers, but getting some damage in the Kubel while they're doing their cutoff, not a bad thing. So both players pretty even on map control. Soviet player doing better for a while, but has just been pushed off by the Germans, so now things are going to get more even. Okay, cool. nothing there. And yeah, so we do have triple Kubel, and that third Kubel was pretty delayed as things go. We got some Volksradiers out there first, sort of a balanced kind of build order, and the Soviet player seems like doesn't have as much manpower as I would have expected, maybe sinking a lot of it into reinforcing the engineers, the conscripts and stuff. Has been losing a few of those over time. And then in any case, we do have a maxim out. Yeah, so this player, for sure, civilly disobedient, loves driving the Kubelwagen straight up into the enemy to maximize that DPS. A really interesting tactical choice, but that's a pretty good one in a lot of ways. If you force the retreat, if you win that sort of game of chicken, then you can repair the Kubelwagen back up and you lost effectively nothing. It's certainly a lot faster than pushing people off the typical way, and in some ways paradoxically safer if you don't run into enemy reinforcements, because the faster you push people off, the less damage they'll be able to do to your Kubelwagen, because it's always a game of chicken basically versus the Kubelwagen. Someone's got to end up running away because no one wants to lose the wagon or the squad, so you got to push them into the fight and see what happens. And if you drive the Kubel straight up, you're just sort of cutting down to minimal the amount of time that it's sort of up in the air who's going to win. And obviously you're in kind of a bad position if you need to reverse out of that fight and try and win, but the chances of that happening go down if you just rush your Kubel to the mill. So it's really interesting that we see the Maxim set up there to try and take on these infantry in the fight. I suppose it's also to hold off this Kubelwagen too, but with this sort of arc, the Kubel has a chance of getting around it. Certainly has a chance of not engaging it in the first place. When the Maxim was set up, the Kubel was nowhere to be seen. I would have expected the Maxim to be rolled into a fight against a Kubelwagen first and foremost to push that thing off, because those seem like the bigger issue. But I suppose the idea is drive off the infantry support and you can deal with the wagons later. And also using these two Maxims to support each other is an interesting choice. That's a lot of a threat in one area. You're pretty much guaranteed to win that sort of fight, whatever it happens, but you give up so much map control to do it. And we see right now that the German player was able to advance all the way this cutoff. These conscripts now no longer idle are going to be able to reset it up, but that's a lot of cutoff. We have plus 13 fuel income versus plus 29, so that's less than half, and then plus 32 versus plus 47 munitions. So that was a pretty good cutoff that the German player has, and they still have the whole right hand side of the map and also a bit of the middle. So German player doing slightly better map control wise with a much smaller force. We noticed the floating, which I neglected, which I neglected to talk about a moment ago, is still up there. We have 700 manpower being floated. Oh god, I'm hiccuping like crazy now. And we have tier 2 popping up. And according to my Twitch thing, we have 3 viewers now. So somebody else is here, so welcome. Whoever shut up. And who are these? Who are these? Guards rifle. Great. So they're going to get the DP-27s, which is really, it's going to be the end for these Kubelwagens. There's like, LMG is just bad news for a Kubelwagen, just because it fires so fast that you can rack up the penetrating hits. Oh god, what, my fucking computer can't handle the streaming and the recording at the same time. Oh, nice. Nice flame grenade. From these folks who are burning. Oh god, oh this is so painful. It might actually lose the Maxim on the retreat, and you can not recruit with too much. You can recruit with not too much trouble. But yeah, he's out of there. That guy's got glutes for ages, and he's safe. And in fact, almost lose the Volksradier squads to their death. And this could be bad if they collapse in on the Kubel, because the Guards rifle have shown up. This Kubel doesn't know what's going on, hasn't realized the Guards rifle is here, and it gets some shots up. That's dead. The second one is coming to the fight, but it doesn't realize the Guards rifle are there either, and that is how you lose a Kubelwagen, my friend. You drive into Guards rifle, which, as I've noted earlier, once you got the DP-27s, it's just curtains. The anti-tank rifles alone do huge sort of chip damage, or I don't know what chip damage means. The rifles take off a huge chunk of the health bar, so that's bad enough. But then the DP-27 follows up with the sort of extra knocking some stuff off the health bar, and that's the end. In the worst case scenario, you can even button it. I would not waste a button 40 munitions on a Kubelwagen, especially because if the Kubelwagen gets close enough for the button to do much of anything, for them to not just reverse immediately out of the button, if they get close enough for that, you're going to just fucking murder them with the guns you already got, so there's no reason to do that. But again, it's an option. So having banked so much manpower, the Panzer Elite, not Panzer Elite, I didn't say that, the LKW player is just going on a spending spree, a Christmas spending spree here. Really crazy to see the infrared half track as the first choice. That's really strange. So this infrared half-track purchased, presumably, so that these 2 infantry support guns, when they're made, are going to be, oh, did that guy get killed throwing a grenade? That sucks. Because that would have been a nice grenade on the max. I'm not sure it would have been enough to do anything. Don't back into the fucking guards rifle. What the fuck is wrong with you? Did you hit the reverse hotkey? Doesn't fucking matter because you're dead. You're dead, motherfucker. Rest in pepperoni. Disembark. Too late. Seems like it'd be an easy vehicle to disembark from. I'm not an expert, but, you know. So, anyways, this was, I guess, purchased so that the infantry support guns will be more effective. But we don't fucking have the infantry support guns yet. They're not out yet. Why would you build this first? Why would you build this first? Tell me. So, the Soviet player hasn't captured this munitions back yet, but has pushed the German player way the hell back, and the German player is only going to be able to break out with infantry support shelling. I guess that's the only option, given what they've dumped their money into. It would have been really cool to see a flak half-track, obviously versus guards rifle. Oh, man. Lands directly on him and nothing happens. So, obviously versus a guards rifle, the flak half-track is a little less effective than normal, just because they're the ones with the tools to deal with that. Man, another almost direct hit. Nothing happens. I guess it's not really a direct hit, just the angle. Did you hear the cat cuff? Wow, so IR half-track plus infantry support gun equals Jack squat. What was I talking about? Oh yeah, so obviously the guards rifle not too bad against the infantry support half-track, and there are enough conscripts that they can take up to the AT grenades, and that's also annoying. But still, your opponent has gone pretty heavy into these infantry people. You've got the fucking thing here, like you've already teched to this sort of this building, and you can buy this infantry murdering thingy here. So why not go for that is what I ask. Whoop, there goes the cat. So long, kitten. And now we're getting a kitten refer too, just in case there's a T-70, which, surprise, there's always a T-70. That's the lesson of Company Heroes 2. There's always a T-70. Double infantry support guns. What do we have 7 kills already, so that's not bad. This thing can't even get vet. That's interesting. I mean, the chances of it getting any vet are pretty low because you want to keep it out of the fight, and obviously it can't kill anything on its own, but whatever. So that was a cool choice to retreat the Maxim. I think probably the right choice. You're not totally feeling the time pressure at this point, as the Germans, what you want to be doing right now is shelling your opponent's infantry. And the easiest way to do that is just to do it from the safety of your base rather than getting your Maxim blown up that you've just taken. So better to retreat, heal up at the free healing that you've got, reinforce the thing. And looks like we're down to 1 person viewing in addition to me right now. So nobody gives a shit about these videos, as one might have expected. MG34 is an interesting choice. Like, you've seen your opponent go such heavy infantry that I suppose clearly, you know, the MG is going to be useful in a sense, but you've dumped a lot of manpower into the 2 infantry support guns in the IR half-track. You've just captured a Maxim, and you got to start figuring that maybe you want something that can play a dual role. So maybe like the Volksgrenadiers who have the Faust can play a dual role. Maybe you want to start ticking up or something. That mortar, I think, just hit the Kugelwagen directly head-on and did some damage. But I can totally understand just by the MG34 choice, because we do have the Raketenwerfer and the Schreck Sturm Pioneers and already the 2 Volksgrenadier squads with the Faust for anti-vehicle, and since the vehicle is going to be a T-70, you can pretty much assume pretty good for a while. And in fact, I think presumably the OKW has seen the T-70 with the Vampire half-track. Is it called a Vampire half-track? No, it's just a Searchlight infrared. The Vampire half-track was the original Company Heroes. Since they've seen the T-70, they know that that's all they need the AT versus, so that's totally doable. How many kills now? 5 and 3, so just up to 8. I don't know if I like how both infantry support guns fire at the same target. There's obviously a benefit to doing that, which is you increase the chances that you'll wipe or almost wipe a squad in each volley that you shoot, and that's really nice because if you wipe a squad, obviously that's... clumping up. Obviously that's a tremendous benefit, and if you almost wipe a squad, you force them to retreat, so that's good too. But I think there's the benefit to spreading out your infantry support gun firing, like have one of them shoot to the left and one of them shoot to the right, is that it's less easy for your opponent to tell who's getting hit, so it's less easy for them to tell who should be like moving and dodging, who should maybe retreat. You spread out the damage so your opponent can't just retreat one squad at a time and heal it back up and send it to the front. They have to think about either retreating multiple squads at a time, or do we have 3 infantry support guns? Yeah, they have to think about either retreating multiple squads at a time or sticking around with low health, and both of those are really unfortunate. So I think it makes a lot of sense to spread out your artillery fire like this, especially when your goal is to push your opponent off of sort of a hold on the map that they have. So when you're not being defensive but you're being offensive, the goal in being offensive is sort of just to punch enough of a hole in their line that the rest of your stuff can move out, and also just to start depleting their manpower. And that makes the squad wipe stuff less important. With the squad wipe, it's sort of unlikely to happen when your opponent's got the sort of is on the offensive, has the ooh, that was a nice mortar hit. When your opponent has the, God, what's the word? Not the agenda. The I don't know. When your opponent's on the offense, they're going to be easily monitoring all their squads anyways and retreating them when things are bad, and also trying to be moving around and be dynamic and stuff. So you're less likely to just find somebody who's sort of just set up and camping, and you can shell them into oblivion, which means that your chances of wiping the squad are lower. So again, maybe spread out your artillery fire is the suggestion that I'm making here. Poor infantry support gun. Poor Raketenwerfer also got self-mauled pretty badly. So with the Soviet mortar up to 4 kills, this thing has 6, and this thing has 7. So the Soviet mortar turns out to have been a good choice. Such a good choice that they're going another mortar squad. This is, of course, the 120mm fancy dancy heavy mortar. I guess it's not technically. Oh yeah, it is technically the heavy mortar. So that's some good stuff. And yeah, so it's looking pretty good for the Soviet player at this point. They're banking. Yeah, they're banking. I hiccuped again. Oh god, they're banking quite a lot of fuel, presumably because it's time to sort of wait and see what your opponent techs up to. Does your opponent go for some sort of like heavy tank? I don't even know what kind of options they got. I guess tech up to a Panther is kind of it, or a Panzer IV, I suppose. Yeah, does your opponent go for some sort of Panzer IV? Because the Panzer IV could be a nice choice here. There's no enemy tanks on the field, but again, that's not again, but that would be kind of a desperation move on the OKW if they go for the Panzer IV, because the Panzer IV infantry support tank sort of thing is not going to do anything versus, I guess it can do a bit versus the T-34, but it's not going to do much versus enemy tanks, and so then your opponent could just tech up to, you know, a T-34 or something like that, and then you'd be in trouble. But it would be good in the short term. Or do you try and tech up long term, get something nicer? Either way, Soviet player is just waiting to see what the choice is and is banking the fuel for that. Happy to spend manpower reinforcing these squads, so the Soviet player, I think, is making a very good decision to keep sending these squads forward into the meat grinder, losing lots and lots of manpower in these assaults. I think that Sturmpioneer squad just died and almost loses a Volksradio squad here too. So Soviet player is doing a really good job sending these people into the meat grinder constantly. He's definitely got the manpower to spend on it, no reason to bank that. And we do have the teching choice from the Soviets, made it all the way up to the Tier 4 and the T-34, so decided not to wait for the teching choice, but it was a prescient move anyways because we have an Ostwind. I suppose the T-34 not the best thing versus an Ostwind. It might even be better served just with a couple Su-76s, come to think of it. But, you know, the Soviet player was like, I've floated fuel for too long. It is now time to seize the initiative and tech up. And meanwhile, the OKW player is like, oh god, I gotta buy something to win the video game. And that something is an Ostwind, which is actually getting his butt kicked by a T-70 at this point. That's surprising to see. Oh man, fucking T-70's big brother shows up, and this might be GG for the German player. All the fuel, not all the fuel, much of the fuel was poured into it. We have a howitzer barrage coming in on the base. This could be what wins the game for the German player, because everything could fucking die in one artillery hit at this point. But the shells, it's not artillery. Yes, it is. It is artillery. The fucking marked vehicle coming in. It was targeted slightly too far forward all these fucking infantry could have been dead. I don't think that actually would have happened. But it could have happened, and at this point, the German player is not out of it. Not out of it because the Austrian is alive. So that's the one saving grace. I'm surprised the T-70 and T-34 were not able to finish that thing out. This is the T-34-85, by the way, because we've got this doctrine chosen. So that's cool. I actually wasn't thinking about that when I was talking about what the Soviet could tech to. I was saying maybe the Soviet player wants to wait before teching to something to see what the German player does. But honestly, whatever the German player does, T-34-85 is going to be a good choice. Even if they get all the way to Panthers somehow with their little tiny fuel income, T-34-85, not a bad idea. You just spam that versus the Panthers. What does this thing cost? Yeah, so it's not cheap, but you know, it's cheap enough to spam versus Panthers when you're ahead like this, and that's totally doable. And certainly versus anything lighter than Panthers versus infantry, stuff like that, T-34-85 is a perfect choice. One of my favorite tanks in the game, so you can even back tech to some 76s too if you see your opponent getting some tanks that you need to ram. So yeah, very good choice by the Soviet player. And at this point, the German player, it's got to be repair the Ostwind and then use your other AT, so the Raketenwerfer and the Schrecks, to take out the T-34. Ideally, take out the T-72 when you get another chance at that thing. You better fucking kill that. And things are looking pretty bad because that's another 85 being built. But again, oh wow, it's another Austrian. So okay, well, if at first you don't succeed, try it again with 2. That's a classic. Hitler said that all the time, and it's good to see the German player sort of following up on that. Realizing that the VP situation is getting a little dire, the German seems to be focusing on those, trying to take the opponent down, and these Volksgrenadiers, it would be nice to see them held in reserve for at least another, like, 3 seconds, because you know the Austrian is coming. You want these people to be tippy-top shape to shoot the T-70. Nice for Raketenwerfer opening up. It looks like it's not going to be able to kill or chase him down, but thankfully the Austrian is getting some licks in versus the Guards Rifle. That's sorely needed. Taking out these Guards Rifle is going to give the Austrians almost free reign, aside from, wow, they are entirely dead thanks to the MG setting up the crossfire. And suddenly this is looking a bit better for the Germans. Obviously the 2 T-34s are still a huge fucking deal, but that was the entirety of the AT aside from the T-34s. So if the Austrians can get anything done versus these T-34s, which potentially they can, given the Schreck and the Raketenwerfer on the field, then the German has a way back into this game. But remember, we only have this one Raketenwerfer which had to retreat back to base, and this one Schreck squad which is just getting torn up. Red cover is not doing it any favors. I don't know, German player maybe thinking about giving these German... Well, 700 munitions on the Soviet player. Holy cow, holy guacamole. What are they going to spend that on? I guess that's why they're marking vehicles so often. Goodness gracious me. Golly, golly. Gosh, so that's a very brave Austrian. Can't say I condone this. I suppose the idea is this T-34 is all the way over there. I'm totally safe, but it turns out there's another. It's good for the German player to know this. Things repositioning just as the Soviets fire their counter barrage. So that was pretty good. German player, look how desperate they are for the VPs, heading over there to the left with that machine gun squad to capture the VPs rather than going for the fuel. So that's pretty interesting. I think fuel would be pretty great for the Germans at this point, but they've made the strategic decision. Oh man, that was the end of an infantry sport gun here, I think. Although I suppose if that had been... Oh, well, everything's fucking dying. Yeah, so interesting choice to go for the VPs rather than the fuel at that point. Just trying to get the drain going even faster because the German wasn't behind the VPs. And wow, going for the strategic point too, so going for the cutoff rather than the fuel. Again, I think the German needs some fuel, but who am I to make these sorts of decisions? I ask you, what kind of person am I? So let's see how these T-34s and T-70s get used in this new era of the game. The Soviet player has 2 conflicting motives here with these T-34s. Man, they're Raketenwerfer doing work, doing some serious work. So yeah, 2 conflicting motives here going on in the Soviet player's head. Oof! One is to use these T-34s to full effect because they are... Oh no, the Austrian manages to chase them down because they are sort of the supreme tank on the battlefield. But the other one is, look, play it safe, you're ahead, you don't want to lose anything. Certainly not to the Raketenwerfer. The Raketenwerfer does get decrewed. So now we've paid a T-34 for an Austrian. Not a bad trade for the Soviets. Obviously the Austrian is less expensive than the T-34, so that's not a great trade on paper. But when you're ahead like this, you just need to sort of keep ahead until you win the game, really, and if you can just keep your opponent from getting a critical mass of Austrians or whatever that let them steamroll over you on some sort of important point of the map, then you can be in good shape. And so if you get it down to the point where you have one T-34 versus their one Austrian, it's like, look, that just makes it easier for me to keep a handle on the one Austrian with my one T-34. And of course, it's still got the T-70, which, remember, has met an Austrian before and lived to tell the tale. So this T-70 doesn't give two shits about Austrian flag panzers. This T-70 is just picking off fucking infantry as they retreat like it ain't a thing. It ain't a thing if it does not have that swing. Classic Russian saying. Triple vet conscripts go out with 7 kills. They've seen things. That guy's running like a doofus. Who gave you permission to run like a doofus? Is that another Austrian? I can't see. It's off the edge of the map. It's another Austrian. Yeah, well, why bother teching when you can just call in shit from the edge of the map, my friends? That doesn't work with the T-3485. You still got to tech for that shit. But, man, infantry support gun's doing fuck all of that. But yeah, so who wants to... Hey, since I'm streaming, people can actually predict stuff when I say who wants to predict what the Soviet player builds next. I always just say that shit in a shoutcast and it never means anything. But now, my friends, it can mean something. So to all 2 people in the chat, if you can predict what the Soviet player is going to build next, nothing will happen. But that'd be cool. My own prediction... Oh, it's too late. It's a T-34. I think I was probably going to predict a T-34, but it's too late. It's too late for anybody to do anything. Here's a Kettenwerfer. I was wondering when that was going to get recrewed. I was wondering in my brain. I didn't say it out loud, but trust me, it was a thing. Ooh, wow! What a way to face! What a way to get revealed! How did it get revealed? Can you guys hear the cat? The cat's pretty far away, but it's meowing. He's a meowing little cat. Well, here comes the Austrian. They're like, we're safe finally. There's only one T-34, so even if we fucking get attacked by a T-34 when we get the T-70, we'll be good. Surprise, surprise! Oh, actually, there's not 2 T-34s yet. And anyways, that's the end. Hooray! So this half-track has been up the entire time. Can we turn on the fog of war and see what this thing sees? It's a very small checkbox. That's not what I wanted. Give me the Germans. God damn. Kitty cat. How does this fucking work? God, click on the shit. Okay, I give up. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Fox Radio is running past. Oh god, the cat's on my lap. There's too much stuff to look at, too much stuff, so we have a full-scale retreat by the Germans in a moment. This Austrian can do some good work versus these Vet 3 conscripts if they stick around, but I don't know why I guess they're AT grenading it, so we can... Oh god, the cat's fucking jumping around like a maniac over here. I'm sure the conscripts just... Oh, the other Austrian. That was a good choice. That was a really good choice. Repositioning that Austrian to the right. They've been basically 90% of the time on the left or in the middle. The opponent was not expecting that to just wipe out some goddamn infantry squad in the middle of fucking nowhere. But losing this for Kettenwerfer is a huge setback. Actually, that's an infantry support gun. Not a big deal. But still a deal. Oh wow, this is ballsy. I don't know if I'd do this. Yeah, don't... Wow, that just went through the Austrian. So, the balls scared the T-34s away. I guess they were reversing anyways, so it's not a big deal. But, oh, here they come, and now the Kettenwerfer is in position. So this is when the Austrian wants to be ballsy, when it can lure the opponent into getting ambushed by this AT gun. But it's a little too late. Potentially the AT gun is a little too far forward. It's going to be easily circle strafe. We have another Kettenwerfer just purchased, so there's that one, and then we have a third somewhere. I mean, that's not the new one. The third one is here. Oh god, I can't fucking watch everything. Okay, it's on the off map. The Austrian just died trying to lure him into the AT guns, but the other AT guns weren't there. There just weren't enough AT guns in position. If the Austrians had done their diversion attack just a little later when these 3 Rakettenwerfers were here, instead of one there and then later one there and another one there, if the Austrians had just come in then, they would have been such a tempting target, and triple volley from cloaked Rakettenwerfers plus Austrians firing, is my phone ringing, would have, no, I'm just getting Google Scholar alerts 3 at a time, and it makes it sound like the phone's going fucking crazy. If the Austrians were the perfect bait, but they came in too early. I think we've all had that problem, folks, am I right? Chuckle. But yeah, the Austrians came too early. They got themselves owned for effectively nothing. You did get some hits on this T-34, so that's not bad, but it could have been so much better for the German. They're probably kicking himself or herself for not getting those AT guns quite into position at the right time. So that was almost extremely good, and the German player still certainly has the tools to make this work, because the German player still has these 3 AT guns, and frankly T-34s are not very thrilled versus 3 cloaked Raketenwerfers, but when being an Ostwind down is not going to make this any easier, especially when we saw how much work that one Ostwind did earlier, just drove to the right hand side and wiped one of those squads while the Soviet player wasn't looking. That's the sort of thing that wins you games. That's the sort of thing that gets you back here. If you can wipe your opponent's squads, just pick up a squad here or there with an Ostwind, like this low health squad could easily be wiped by an Ostwind if it were over there on the land. In fact, it may be wiped by an Ostwind right now as I speak, but it won't be. Or it will be. What's that on the front? That's like a fucking Valkyria Chronicles thing, I think. I don't know what that is. I have no idea. Where's my backspace button? There we go. God, these fucking lines from the infrared half-track always freak me out. Prepare for combat? That's the last thing you're going to be doing, you stupid fucking half-track. That guy's got a fun job. He's basically watching television. For a living. Except slightly different. Did somebody die over here? No, they're just fucking making noises. Ooh. Ugh. You know what a good game for making noises is? Soma. I've just been playing that recently. I installed a mod, because I'm a fucking wuss. I installed a mod, I think it's literally called Wuss Mod. It just makes the enemies not do anything. There's no way I could play that game without that. So there's that Raketenwerfer fucking destroyed. Too far forward, but it was being bait, I guess. I don't know. The German player, if has at various points in this game had the tools to win, but not able to sort of put everything together. It's like sort of having all the Lego pieces, but instead of being able to assemble them into like Darth Vader's fuck swing or something, you just ingest them and then shit them out, and they're not in any sort of shape or form, any sort of cohesive thing. This is impressive looking artillery. I like this. I like how it's like 90% smoke some of the time. I don't know what that is. The original Company Heroes was really good about that. They had just the perfect mix of the fire and the smoke and the dirt and stuff and the explosions. Nothing overpowered anything else. It was just like a delicious dish. Sort of all the perfect pieces. This Maxim has certainly distinguished itself after having been taken long ago. So the German player still in this game. You can't really discount somebody with this many, i.e. 2 Raketenwerfers, when the heaviest thing they're up against is T-34s, but eventually I think, because we're getting to the third T-34, eventually the critical mass of tanks is just going to be such that the Soviet player can be like, fuck it, I'm driving straight into all this shit and you can just suck my dick. And that appears to be what's happening right now. I don't actually know how that happened. That was maybe a mistaken retreat. This is the end, I guess. That couldn't have been on purpose. Especially because this Raketenwerfer is doing the exact opposite, is driving forward. I think the German player is giving up at this point. I can't explain what I'm seeing on my video game screen in any other way, because why? Why? The humanity. These guys are like, oof. I don't even have words. So that, I think, was the last gasp for the German player. We had a briefly levitating red cross, sort of requiem for the German. And yeah, so I mean, the lesson here is that it's a tough dance to dance, but when you've got the Ostwind flak panzers, which are very tempting targets, I love this thing. They're just shooting into the fucking trees trying to get the plane. It's a delicate dance when you've got the flak panzers, which can't really do much versus the T-34s, but which can own infantry. The Raketenwerfers, which of course can't do anything versus infantry, but can really put a dent in the T-34s, and then, you know, all the rest of your tool set, you gotta find a way to make it come together to kill the tanks, or if you're not going to kill the tanks, if you're not going to lure them into anything, use your Ostwinds to harass around the flanks, wipe out some squads like a German player once did briefly over here, killing that conscript squad. If you can't use your Ostwinds to good effect, either as bait to kill the T-34s, or as infantry wiping Uber vehicles, then you're not getting anything out of them. The T-34s are just going to run roughshod over you. Your opponent's just going to cap the whole part of the map. You're going to lose on VPs, and that is exactly what we're seeing happen to this German player. And so are we going to see a last gasp Ostwind? We have the stuff for it almost 2 times over. Maybe we're going to see double last gasp Osfand. Maybe we're not going to see double last gasp. Osfand, it's very hard to predict what this person's going to do when they've been driven to the ropes. He's a man on the edge, and you can't be sure what a raccoon's going to do when they're in a corner. I've never actually seen a raccoon in a corner. All the raccoons I've ever seen have been in the outdoors, usually hanging out by a trash can. There's a raccoon that lives outside sort of the office where I work. On the first floor, there's a nice little trash can there. I think it's actually a family of raccoons who live in the bushes nearby. The cats are fucking whining about something. And, yeah, so I'm a fan of raccoons, and this is the end. Holy shit! On a biscuit. Wow. Yeah, if you wanted a more decisive ending to this game, you could get it, but you'd be picky because that was pretty decisive, so I think that was pretty good. I'm definitely on a scale of 1 to 10. That was like an 8 in terms of how decided this thing is. And we've got a nice little I don't know what this is. It's an Allen wrench. Clearly it's an Allen wrench. Okay, the game's over, so I already summed it up before this, and the fucking cats are going nuts. So I think I'll stop recording and see you on the flip-itty side.